things at home competitively. Second step to that is progress from there to strategic resilience. Can we keep functioning if the world breaks down? That is resilience. And the third step in the process is, can the world keep functioning if we break down? If the answer is no, then we have become strategically indispensable. And that is the goal we should be looking at in the current geopolitical and geostrategic compulsions that we are facing. Therefore, what should the state do to achieve strategic indispensability? What should the governments do in the country, union and states? Pursue Swadeshi ecosystem first reforms, deregulation, whole of government approach, manufacturing cluster-led growth, input cost reduction. It is not just removal of inversion of custom duties, but also eliminating cross-subsidization with respect to freight and power cost, etc. Boosting competitiveness, world-class and reliable infrastructure, long-term policy stability, building the talent ecosystem, and more importantly, when we give protection to our industry from import competition, we have to link it to productivity and export performance. That is what Northeast Asia did better than any other country in the world. So in other words, what Korea, Taiwan, Singapore, Japan did was to support their domestic industry, but in return, demand productivity and export performance and measuring up to global competition within a limited period of time. So protection cannot be in perpetuity, and it should be in return for productivity and export performance. To be able to do the first two, we need an entrepreneurial state. To borrow the phrase from Professor Mariana Mazzucato, we need an entrepreneurial state. What does it mean? A mindset that encourages risk-taking, accepts failures, and puts outcomes ahead of processes. The bureaucracy in the country has to move from colonial-era mindset of extraction to one of development orientation. The good news is that we have enough examples from within our own system of being able to achieve number three. And this is what happened in the software sector in India. The general perception is that the software sector grew on its own, that nothing could be farther from the truth. If you look at the chapter 16, we provide the description based on a case study done in Stanford, that in the software sector, the Indian bureaucracy moved from produce and protect to broad-based industry promotion by mid-80s, and they did so by the following steps: recognizing software as an industry, easing forex and import restrictions, investing in technical education and telecommunication, including liberalizing satellite communication links, etc., creating technology parks, and exercise regulatory flexibility. The Electronic Secretary Seshagiri Rao is quoted in this case study saying, "We broke as many rules as we created new rules." And that is basically exactly entrepreneurial mindset. So the Indian software sector success story owes a lot to an entrepreneurial state, actually. And the state capacity works best, therefore, when it is directed towards facilitation and coordination and provision of public goods. You can read more about it in chapter 16, part 2. And this mindset is not just something historically done in the 80s. In the last 1 year, union and state governments have also been building on this track record of entrepreneurial state. In the last 1 year alone, starting from the budget of February 2025, we have seen simplification of Income Tax Act, GST 2.0 with the lower better processes and 2 simple slabs, and higher direct tax exemptions and slabs, relaxation and suspension of quality control orders, which exerted a lot of adverse pressure on small and medium enterprises, replacement of Manrega, plugging leakages with GRAM-G, notification of labor codes, and the Ministry of Road Transport and Highways shifting from L1 basis to a technical score-based basis for choosing consultants to prepare detailed project reports. This is a very important step. It's a process reform that will percolate down to other ministries as well. On the trade, investment, and sustainability side, we have the Export Promotion Mission, the District Business Reform Action Plan, which we covered in the last economic survey. It does lead to higher gross value added. Whichever states are advancing in BRAP, they are seeing a better growth in gross value addition. We have seen a plethora of trade deals in the last 12 to 18 months, the most recent one being with the European Union, and they definitely offer geographical diversification for Indian exporters. Liberalization of environmental rules in accordance with the pollution intensity of the industry, which is a very pragmatic approach by the Ministry of Environment and Forest. Full FDI in insurance and nuclear power generation. The creation of budget-financed Anusandhan National Research Fund and the Research and Development Innovation Fund to the tune of 1.5 lakh crores over 5 years. And more gratifyingly, in the power sector, we now have DISCOMs turning into profits because of automatic pass-through of fuel cost, smart metering, and a revamped distribution sector scheme which allows financing based on improved performance in terms of reducing T&D losses, etc. Now, what you see in this slide is not just headline or front page reforms, but also process reforms. And that is what gives us confidence that the state is on its way to becoming entrepreneurial. Now, last economic survey focused on deregulation, getting out of the way. And this economic survey shares with you very happily the scorecard of the Indian states in this. The economic survey identified 23 areas where states could deregulate, simplify, eliminate, consolidate regulations. 23 into 36 gives you 828 areas collectively for states to look at. And the progress report is exceedingly good, probably A+ grade. 86% of these 828 priorities across 36 states and union territories put together have already been implemented or under implementation. Only 14% are not applicable. So in other words, states have taken up deregulation in the following areas: land, building and construction, labor, utilities and permissions, and general priorities very enthusiastically, so much so that they are now embarking on phase 2 of deregulation as well. So this is a very tangible and concrete example of the Indian state moving into problem solving, process reform, entrepreneurial mode from a procedure-led mode. And in a nutshell, this is what gives national power. The index of national power is a combination of productive force, institutional quality, and strategic concentration. Productive force illustrated by infrastructure, manufacturing, skilled labor force. Institutional quality, basically the legislature, the judiciary, the media, and regulatory bodies. Strategic concentration in terms of core areas where we need to prioritize in terms of indigenization and Swadeshi, etc. If we are able to get all these three balance right, then we will rank very high in the index of national power. This is the equation of national power. According to a speech given by Dr. Rajan in 2005 in the Nani Palkiwala Memorial Lecture, apparently Mr. Palkiwala said, "We are not poor by nature. We are poor by policy." Dr. Rajan concluded his speech by saying, one day we will be able to say, we are not rich by nature, we are rich by policy. I think we are almost there at this point where we can say we are not rich by nature, but rich by policy. This gives us the confidence to be able to share something optimistic with you. 3 years ago, we wrote in the economic survey that the maximum potential growth of the Indian economy was 6.5%, and with reforms, it could rise to between 7 and 8% per annum in the medium term. On the back of the evidence I have shared with you in the last 40 minutes in terms of actual performance, creation of public investments, the good health of the financial sector, enthusiastic uptake of state-level deregulation, and both process and policy reforms of the union government, this economic survey, despite the geopolitical environment being what it is confidently upgrading India's potential growth to 7% per annum from 6.5% 3 years ago. And Chapter 1 gives you details on how we managed to arrive at this positive conclusion on the back of the track record that the Indian economy and policy makers have been able to display post-COVID in particular. So India's potential growth is 7%, and that is why you saw that our GDP projection for 26-27 is between 6.8 and 7.2%. Of course, subject to geopolitical risk factors, commodity prices, etc., all of them can derail the calculations on a short-term basis. But on a sustained medium-term trend growth for the Indian economy, we believe now it is 7%. If we are able to achieve manufacturing and export competitiveness and pursue further process reforms in the areas of land and cross-subsidization and bring down the cost of manufacturing, this 7% can even rise to 7.5% and 8% in the next few years as well. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, we have done well. As they say in German, wir haben gut gemacht. We are doing better post-COVID. But the world is more predictable and dangerous. We acknowledge that. We have promises to keep and miles to go before we can sleep. We have to reimagine the way we are organized as a state and reimagine the way we function as well. And that applies to the government, the private sector, and households. Businesses and households have to internalize their responsibilities. As a society, we have to embrace delayed gratification. Then we will become strategically indispensable. The late Sir Mark Tully said, I am an optimist because I have seen the Indian people do the impossible every single day. We concur with him, and as a mark of respect to him, we feel the Indian people will do the impossible every single day in the next 25 years on our way to Viksit Bharat. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for a very nice presentation. Now, floor is open for question and answer. Before I start, I would request you two things. First of all, please identify yourself and your organization's name. And second, please listen carefully so that repeat questions should not be asked. So I'll start with 234 first.
Sir, Tarun Sharma from Z Business. सर मैं सवाल हिंदी में पूछना चाहूँगा आपने